listening to Why So Sidious, a nerd podcast, where we talk about nerd content like Star Wars and Marvel and DC. In this case, we're doing a comic book review. Kingdom Come by Mark Waid, art by Alex Ross. Two legends, quite the duo coming together for this graphic novel, isolated story, not tied into a larger series whatsoever. And yeah, that's what we're doing today. We are at Why So Sidious Pod on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and X. So give us a subscription, follow, like, all that, comment, interact. We'd love to have you. We have been covering Superman, a lot of Superman. We were supposed to have Kingdom Come out before Superman. It was in honor of that movie, but it's okay. We're doing it now after the movie, which is fine. Superman, Summer of Superman. It's been a lot of stuff there. So we had the full review out for the movie. We've been covering Week in Geeks. Third anniversary episode was recent, so we had a lot of fun doing a bunch of random stuff. And yeah, those are the episodes we've had out recently. And let's get into the comic. So Kingdom Come. Dave, overall thoughts?
Overall thoughts. This has been probably the most I have enjoyed a comic book that we've covered in a while. I don't remember what the last one was that I enjoyed this much. I really like this. This was like right up my alley. It's a Superman movie. We just read Birthright. Birthright really didn't do it for me, or comic book, not a movie. Birthright really didn't do it for me, but this one did. The art style behind it, the whole tone to this type of unique, eerie, I don't know exactly how to describe the tone to it. Like, it's like a quiet, ominous, depressed, ominous tone. Yeah. There's something just off-putting about it, but that's great. And the art style just works perfectly with the tone of the story, the tone of the writing. It's very interesting. We did get some overlaps. We'll talk about that a little bit. Some common tropes that we've seen in other Elseworlds or alternate reality type DC storylines. Similar stuff with Shazam and Superman that I noticed. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I was into it from start to finish, and I would love to read a continuation of some sort, or like a Batman story kind of like this, or maybe not Batman because he's done with everything. Maybe a Green Lantern style story written like this. I really liked what I saw with this, though. So Mark Waid hit it out of the park for me here.
When you talk about how the vibe is kind of depressing and dark, it kind of reminds me of David Cornsweet's Superman coming in when people expect a dark, depressing DC from the Snyderverse. Even though you and I are fans of the Snyderverse, you can't argue it was like, it lacked hope and fun. Right. And that's kind of what this Superman, that's his whole point here, which is kind of why I thought this is what I think it still can be. But since James Gunn dropped the image of this early on in his social media stuff leading up to the DCU and the Authority in there, I was thinking the Authority would kind of be a group of rogue heroes like we see in this comic book. Then Superman's going to have to kind of set them straight and develop the Justice League from there, which I don't think it's that accurate now that we've seen the movie. The Justice Gang's already being set up. That's obviously going to grow into the Justice League and all this stuff. But let's say if you read this before Superman, or even like thinking after you read, we were supposed to review this for Superman. Do you see anything that they pulled from this? I don't think I do. I was just curious.
Not in Superman's side of things at all. I don't think there was really any. I thought there were totally different Supermans in the movie and the one we got in Kingdom Come here. Other than the logo look, though, not really.
Right. I figured we'd address it since he dropped that image. So I still think that this somehow is going to be the vibe looking forward. Superman making a difference in the DCU is going to look a lot like this. It just won't be a new generation. He won't be an old ass.
Right.
But yeah, so it's broken into 4 chapters, making it really easy to review, but it starts off with this dude named Norman McKay. His friend Wesley Dodds is dying like Sandman.
But this threw me off because they said Sandman and Norman. And so for the first page and a half, I forgot I was reading DC. I'm like, okay, so this is like an old, maybe Norman Osborn, and like, Sandman. Then I'm like,
Sandman and
oh shit, wait, we're in DC. Never mind. This is all right. Let that one go. Yeah, I was thinking it was a Marvel story at first.
And that's obviously Dream, like from the Sandman Netflix, like the dreaming god character. That's
okay.
Yeah, which is why it came with the power of dreaming that the Spectre wanted to take advantage of.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Okay. I didn't think past it once I realized it's not the Sandman from Marvel. I just totally stopped thinking about it. That's cool. That adds another layer to this.
Yeah, and were you surprised to see a character like Spectre? I mean, this is before we get into it. It's like the first few pages, it's just the old dude, Sandman, and Spectre coming by to this old dude who is preaching about some revelations in a some kind of, you know, big violent revelation coming, leading towards this superhero epic. But Spectre coming into this, I mean, the whole thing, like you said, is off-putting. Like the whole story feels off-putting, but a character like Spectre adds to that. For someone who's semi-new to DC Comics, was it nice to see Spectre? Did you, because you probably didn't expect a character like that.
I didn't, and I've seen Spectre a few different times. Once with the Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths, something else, I forgot what it was, the CW storyline, and then maybe a comic run or two. So I'm not super familiar with him, but I got the gist of his character, so I wasn't expecting it. But dude, I really like the way they used him, because all of these prophetic dreams that Norman is having through this, it's Revelations. It's the book of Revelations in the Bible, and it's just kind of paralleled onto the DC universe. And as he's like he's telling this apocalyptic stuff from the book of Revelations, and then the Spectre is like an angel, or the angel of death. At one point, I think one of the characters is like, yeah, that's not an angel, that he's the angel of death, something like that. But I thought it was used great. I loved the whole tone. That was part of the tone of like the ominous part. It was like literally the book of Revelations from the Bible. It had that tone, and I loved the way they used that and used those parallels in those storyline.
It's like very relatable, I guess, when Sandman's talking about the old age of heroes and how nowadays it's, you feel lucky if you feel a glimmer of hope as the average citizen in the modern world. And I think this is written like 10 years ago, but that kind of shit always stays true, aged well, and there's a lot of good writing on that. Mark Waid just killed it with his writing, dude. Every page felt important. But let's get back to the story itself. So what were some standouts? What made you like it?
Dude,
standout moments.
Yeah, I mean, well, I love the setup right off the bat. The whole, like you were just saying, to continue off of what you were saying there, the golden age of the heroes is gone. Superman retired, and once he did, a lot of the main heroes did too. Flash kept protecting his city. Hawkman took over the Pacific Northwest, I guess, because he's a bird.
That was funny.
Batman locked down Gotham, and actually, it was like Gotham is actually flourishing now. Like there's no crime in Gotham. Batman finally won, kind of deal. And now all the superheroes are like violent, like this Magog guy, and these villains have given up, and they're still attacking the hell out of them, which leads to that Captain Atom being split open and releasing a nuclear fallout, which starts off this whole storyline. So I love the world building with this, that Mark set up everything in this first chapter, where I felt like I was immersed in this universe and very well familiar with it, when really I just got dropped right into it. So that was one of my really strong points of this run, was I felt familiarized by the end of chapter 1 with this universe we were in. So yeah, that's one thing that I really liked, standout moment.
Yeah, like you said, so this new generation of heroes, it says that these are like the children and grandchildren of the heroes we're familiar with, that belittle human achievement instead of support and embrace human achievement. And Magog is kind of their leader. And how many times is the Joker going, full spoilers, obviously, I guess I just got to technically say that, but how many times in an alternate universe story is it the events are gonna start with the Joker being killed? Because that's what kind of happens here.
There were like 3 or 4 parallels in this with other, whether it's Injustice or whether it's Flashpoint or some other aspect of these things. There were some repeat things, and one of them was Joker. Joker slaughters a bunch of people, commits this atrocious act, and somebody crosses the line and kills him. In Injustice, it was Superman doing it. This time it was Magog who killed him, because the Joker killed like 92 men and 1 woman, is how they describe it, Lois Lane at the Daily Planet. So it was very similar in the Injustice aspect, where that happens and then Superman goes dark. Wonder Woman's pushing Superman to go dark and imprison those who don't bend the knee. Like that was very, very similar to the Injustice part. It was like, it's the same thing's happening here. Like Superman's just older.
And then he goes into exile because basically society was super down with that execution. They were like, you know what, he deserved to die. So that is what sends Superman away. He's like, this is what society wants now. He lost hope. So he disappears, right? And this is where we find him in chapter 1. Wonder Woman visits him, wants him to get back into the world to help with this new age of rebellious heroes. Spectre and Norman just watching. And the chapter 1 ends with him returning after that big explosion in Kansas, killing 1 million people. Yeah, and then chapter 2 starts from there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else from chapter 2 or chapter 1 that was notable. But yeah, just a lot of setup.
Yeah, no, I like the whole Superman on the farm and Wonder Woman talking about her retirement.
And Mark Waid does a good job at making Batman feel like a complete gangster without him being a gangster, really. He just, Norman asks, I remember one among the immortals or something like that. One mortal among the immortals. Like, where is this guy? And that's when we see Batman. He's taking over Gotham. And then chapter 2 comes along. And when Superman meets Batman, he's just gone off the rails. He's like this old crazy dude. He's got all the body support exoskeleton stuff. Yeah, but he's got a ton of jokes and smirks, and he just looks like he's off the rails. But it's funny. He's still smart and everything. Still, Batman's still one of my favorite scenes. Just Superman and Batman talking in the Batcave.
Yeah, Batman. So you warned me before I started this that Batman wasn't going to play like a major. We weren't going to see a lot of Batman action and stuff in this story, and obviously we didn't. But I did like the Bruce Wayne stuff we got out of it. And he's got this exoskeleton on, like you said. And I don't know if there's any other storylines in which he has that, but in the Infinite on Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW. As goofy as it was, there was one part where it was an alternate universe, older Batman, Bruce Wayne, and he was wearing an exoskeleton just like that. And that Bruce Wayne was actually played by Kevin Conroy, R.I.P., but the famous voice of Batman in the Batman animated series. And so as soon as I saw that in the comic run, I triggered that memory, because that's the only other time I've seen old Bruce Wayne in an exoskeleton. But now I wonder, what year was this issue written?
2008 is what my mind is saying.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
So that was probably a nod to it then, because I think that show stuff came out like 2013 or something.
Yeah. We'll stick with Batman then throughout this whole story. Not a major role, but he does come back at the end there. And because in the middle, you kind of thought he was fully in bed with Luthor, right? Like he's like, damn, it's straight up Batman's side versus Superman's side again. But he just needed to get in to see what he was doing with Shazam. I love that.
Yes. Because what the hell? Shazam's just sitting right next to Lex Luthor in a tuxedo, which I think we found out he was actually Billy Batson. That whole time it was just, and I didn't even think twice about it. I just thought, well, maybe the world is in such dire straits that Batman needs to team up with Lex Luthor to get out of whatever they are. But of course, there's layers to it.
And he knocks Lex Luthor at the end, doesn't he? Hits him with the cross.
He does. Swear. He does.
Lex is overweight, too. He kind of is starting to look like Kingpin.
Yeah, he is. He did look like Kingpin.
But huge mistake. Dude, this came out in 1996.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Yeah. That's like a decade. That's totally a decade earlier than I thought, but there it is.
I guess that makes sense with like the kind of touch to the art style. But I still love the art style so much. Like, they should bring that back. Yeah. 96, that's awesome.
So they started the Killing the Joker to start an alternate universe comic thing here, I guess. Right?
And Justice stole a bunch of stuff from Kingdom Come now, apparently.
Yeah.
Good to know.
All right, so chapter 2. Things are just really heating up with all these rogue heroes. Magog, Superman, he goes to the UN, gives a speech, and things are cooking up. Anything in chapter 2 stand out to you?
Let me see. I know I kind of jumped the gun. Sorry, when you asked what stood out to me, I jumped straight into chapter 2.
No.
So yeah, I already talked about the Joker, because that's when we learn about the Joker doing that to the Daily Planet, Magog killing him. That's all in chapter 2. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. We saw Superman and Batman building their own armies before we realized Batman was working with Lex Luthor, but you had no idea what was going on. And that kind of, it's interesting timing is all I'll say. One of the main plot points of chapter 2 was the Americommando, this crazy, like, super patriotic hero, and his Minutemen and their whole mission is to just attack immigrants. And so they're just attacking immigrants all over New York and stuff. I was like, oh, it's fitting right now, I guess.
God, 30 years ago. Seems like that's about to, that was funny. And then more shout outs for the Batman. I mean, Mark, I swear, writers just love to make Batman seem like a god, even though he has no powers. But the Spectre calls the Batman the zenith of human fortitude and ambition.
Hell yeah.
That's pretty dope. That is pretty dope. It's fun, dude, when you get these godly ass characters talking about how cool Batman is.
Yeah, exactly.
He has a funny line to Superman. He says, "You could hear, for someone who could hear clouds scrape together, you don't listen very well."
He was talking a lot of trash, but I really like the whole Batman and Superman conversations we got, because then we got more in chapter 3. And they all had their own kind of little style to it, a little drama to it, but I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So, and by the end of chapter 2 is when Bruce joins Lex. So, still a lot of development. Chapter 3 is when the fireworks really start to pop off, because finally Wonder Woman convinces Superman to build the gulag, build a prison. So, yet another trope from Injustice. Now Superman is acting with more authoritarianism compared to what he usually does. You don't hear complaints about that in this one, though. You hear complaints about the Injustice Superman. You hear complaints about the Man of Steel Superman, but I never hear complaints about Kingdom Come. Seems pretty authoritarian in here, though.
He's very authoritative in here, and I know Hope comes back at the end of it, but it's not like Hope is an overwhelming force in this story. He's like, he gets pretty dark at points. Like, he's close to getting to Injustice Superman at a few points in this story. So it's very interesting that there's no complaints on this one. Maybe it's because they didn't have him go all the way and laser Shazam's brains out, and maybe they didn't take it far enough to have people be upset about it. But it's very close.
Right. Were you thrown off by Superman and Wonder Woman wearing masks in space when they were talking?
Yes.
Why would they need masks?
Absolutely.
This is the third time reading this, and I finally get it. And they said it a page before. They talked about how space is silent. There's zero noise in space. So they're just wearing masks to communicate. The first 2 times I read this, I was like, this is pissing me off. They don't need masks in space. Why are they doing this? But yeah, they're communicating.
Okay. All right.
It's silent up there. It's kind of a plot hole in every movie ever.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Except Aliens Romulus.
All right, Mark.
They did
I see you. Well, yeah.
Yeah, remember that one? The silent explosions. Was sick.
Which I like that.
Yeah, chapter 3 is when the riots break out and shit hits the fan. That's when Batman finds out that Lex Luthor is manipulating Shazam. And I thought his appearance on the battlefield was probably the most exciting, like, holy shit moment of the whole book as far as action goes. Would you agree?
Superman showing up?
Shazam showing up.
Shazam. Yes. Yeah, that was crazy.
That was cool.
They really hinted more so than they have in other stories at how truly powerful Shazam is. Like, it was like, oh, this is a problem for Superman right here. Like, this is the dude. I thought it was very interesting. I haven't seen them go that far in other comic runs I've read with Shazam in it, but they were not afraid to be like, he can compete with Superman.
It made me want way more Shazam-oriented, important DC comics. We know there's not a lot.
I like him in most of the stuff he shows up in, and I'd like to get more, but the only really story I've read him in is in ones he dies in, or I've read that same origin story that's the same origin in the movie where he runs away from bullies in a train station, winds up in the wizard place. So I've read that wasn't the story of his.
That was the end of the Justice League issues, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. Because it was a continuation of stuff I was reading, and then I was like, oh, this is the movie scene. This is straight from the movie. Like, the movie took it straight from that.
It came up, yeah. That was good. It was actually good, too. Gary Frank on art. That was a good one.
Yeah, no,
Black Adam had a couple dope kills.
Yeah.
They could have used some Black Adam in this story. With all the Shazam, you'd figure an old-ass Black Adam.
I guess they just didn't want to muddy it up with another being like that.
Right.
But.
I like how Superman goes back to the Batcave a second time asking for help. Like, this dude really trusts this powerless guy because of his mental fortitude. I just love their relationship, dude. It's one of the best in comics.
It's great. I know he's like begging him, like threw away the pride and was straight begging for his help at this point. And of course, you get the funny little, Batman says something about Shazam, and Superman takes off to the prison, and Batman turns around and he's gone. And so that's what that feels like, which we got in The Dark Knight, I think. Or Dark Knight Rises.
Every Batman movie.
Yeah, they kind of throw it in there now. But yeah, I think Ben Affleck had the same line too, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah. So Chapter 4 comes along, and then Wonder Woman kills someone. So it's just all-out war, and Wonder Woman just freaking kills someone. She's like, "Yo, this is battle." Batman shows up with his bat machines, I think, too.
Iron Legion.
As Shazam is just destroying Superman. He's saying Shazam over and over. Superman's weak to magic. I'm pretty sure what they're doing that. That's why he's taking so much damage. And then Superman convinces him to help instead. He kind of like convinces him that Lex is fucked with his mind and all that stuff. So that was pretty solid. And then Shazam going up and stopping a nuclear bomb. Crazy.
Yeah, it was good. Like you said, I liked Shazam having Superman on the ropes, just kept calling out Shazam and just rocking him with that lightning. As Superman, there's a nuke now that gets added to this equation too. The nuke's coming. Superman's holding Billy's mouth, trying to stop him from saying Shazam anymore, and has to make that split decision about which one to focus on. Like you said, he kind of talks to Billy about it, and Billy ends up throwing Superman out of the way, takes the brunt of the nuke. And yet again, this is, I think, the third Elseworlds or alternate universe story where Shazam dies again. He always dies. Every story I read.
What's his name? Not Jim Bean.
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean.
Shazam.
Just cast this guy.
But that was wild. Yeah. It was a really intense fight scene. And then with the ending with all these heroes dying around Superman. Because the nuke goes off and you're like, oh, wow, Shazam saved the day. And then all of a sudden, Superman's just surrounded by fried bodies. And you're like, oh, wait a second. Wait, did the nuke fry everybody? And almost there's a select few of people who are able to survive and whatnot. But yeah, that was pretty intense. That was a solid kind of third act fight.
Yeah, usually the comics for me miss out on a climactic third act in the movie, I guess, jargon. But they nailed it with this one. I thought that was a pretty fun and exciting third act. And Superman's speech was written well because Norman and Spectre were just talking about how who should be judged, humans or superheroes? Because it's like, is it the superheroes' faults? Most of them are just trying to help, but they cause all this damage. Certainly not the humans' faults, but the superheroes are causing all this damage. So it's like, who's in the right, who's in the wrong? And that's exactly what Superman tells to Billy. He was like, you're the only one that's literally a human and a god. Like, you're the most unique one out of us in that aspect. So you decide, let this nuke kill us or not. So he tried to help, but they still mostly all died. But it was pretty well written.
It was. It had stakes. You felt the stakes. The whole setup was just done really well. And Superman, like you said, he learned from that sacrifice to not live above the humans and rule, but to live among them and find solutions together. So there's that hope aspect of Superman that you're always going to have that came in at the end. It just wasn't really there for most of the story, but it was written in well. It was a good way to kind of put that across, and it wasn't forced, I didn't think. The only question I kind of had with this final wrap up is, what the hell happened to Magog? Because he was like a massive plot point, like of this massive rivalry Superman had with him, and this whole thing that Superman retired from because of, and then he just never showed up in the final fight. I was wondering,
no closure, right?
Yeah.
He is the big focal point of, they brought it back, and now it's probably 2008. Now that I think about it, Geoff Johns, JSA. So they bring Alex Ross back for some of it, which is kind of weird. Superman comes back into the main DC universe because Magog is powered by a god, we learn, and they find like the modern host for Magog, which leads them to Gog, the god. It's kind of like one of them stone heads that you see in like Easter Island. It's one of those big things somewhere on the planet, and once you like trigger the right thing or say that whatever you do, his whole body wakes up, comes out of the ground. He's now like the god here, and he creates a new Magog in the modern age. It's pretty sick, and I had no idea that existed until like a week ago. So
Well, it's really interesting, and why I was expecting him to show up again, because like I said, a lot of parallels to the biblical book of Revelations. Gog and Magog is a major point in the Bible. Gog and Magog is kind of this destructive force that's an enemy of God and his people throughout the Bible. So it was interesting to have this Magog figure, this whole Revelation story playing out here. And
Superman is supposed to be the second coming of Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming on back.
That's his nemesis, just like it is in the. So there were so many parallels there, and that's kind of why I was like, I wonder how they're going to use Magog at the end here. Then, and then he just didn't show up, and I was like, yeah, all right. Well, but it sounds like they're saving. Something happens with him down the road, but
you almost want a direct sequel, which
right.
It's kind of what that JSA thing was, because when the bomb goes off, his consciousness like flips right into our, I forgot why, but he comes into our universe at the moment of the bomb. Like he didn't even go to the UN. Like in Kingdom Come, the first thing he did was go to the UN and like tear the freaking roof off and say he was about to go full injustice. And then Norman McKay talked him down. And then they were going to be peaceful. And then they have the Wonder Woman Batman scene, which we'll get into, but he goes into the Prime universe in the comics at the moment of the bomb. So he thinks his whole world is dead. It lasts for a long time. Eventually he goes back. And then it's really cool how they do it. They bring Alex Ross for only 2 issues for full when he was in part of them for the others. Like the Magog thing was like 12 issues straight in this. But the single 2 annual issues were all Alex Ross. And it was like directly tied to the book. It was so cool to see some perspective. I forgot why, but he meets our Prime Superman before going back to his planet, tells Superman about the whole thing, and then we get to see a little more context into the moments, like right after that dinner or whatever that was with Wonder Woman and Batman. It's really cool, really cool.
Huh. Okay.
Well, what did you think of that dinner with Batman and Wonder Woman? I thought there was some funny moments there.
Yeah, they met up at a diner, right?
And then they made Superman Batman the Godfather because Superman and Wonder Woman are pregnant.
Oh, really? Was that? Did I miss that part? Oh, no. Yeah. They went back to surprise him, and he already knew. Classic Bruce. They were gonna break the news to him. But yeah, I don't remember exactly what went down, other than the fact that they met at a diner. But I forgot what they kind of said back and forth.
Yeah, that was it. Just a lot of banter. I thought was pretty golden for the Trinity. Batman had 2 hella funny comments. He said, first, congratulations on adding another nuclear-powered demigod to the planet. Something like that. And then after he agrees to be the godson, he's like, you do realize you just handed me influence over the most powerful child in the world. And Superman's like, I thought you agreed rather quickly. Add him to the Robin list.
I love that banter there and all the talk, like you said, with Superman and Batman. Some of my favorite little scenes is at the end of these stories where we just get that quick little, interaction between the two at the end of the story. It's always gold.
The shawarma scenes.
Yeah.
But short comic, amazing comic. This personally is I know it's in my top 10s when I did lists. So 3rd time through, I didn't like it any less, man. This is epic. It's like, it's a great characterization of Superman. It's like somewhere in the middle. I don't think you and I are like, Superman's not our top 3 character, but
right.
We also kind of do like maybe the more not authoritarian, but a little darker Superman. I think this is just like a great vibe for the character. Batman was used well, tricky. He thought he was bad, that he's good, but he's tricking Lex Luthor. That's great. The Shazam action was great. The Spectre gave it an ominous feel. And then it paralleling the Bible was pretty beautiful. Waid's writing always made it good. I think this is his best. I don't think there's a better Mark Waid comic, in my opinion. There's a wide range, and this has got to be the best.
Dude, it's in my top 10 for sure. It's definitely in my top 10. I don't know if it's in my top 5 all time, but I think this gets over a 9 for me, man. There wasn't a lot that I didn't like. And finding out that the only nitpicks I really had were, well, that's kind of similar to Injustice. That's similar. We've already seen that, blah, blah. But learning that it was in 1996, like, that almost makes me want to put more points on. It was like, oh, no, he started all of that. Like, that was his idea initially. So that wipes away the majority of my gripes. Like, it was his idea. So, Yeah, I think this is 9.1, 9.2 territory for me, man. I really liked it.
For sure. And then, yeah, can you see the Authority being kind of the rogue group of heroes? I don't know. I don't even think I give I don't even really give it any more credit. We have too much context into the world now, and the Justice Gang exists. We got nothing from the Authority. I'm just trying to think of anything we could relate to the movies or maybe suspect to see in the future. But I don't know.
I don't know. Like, coming out, it's so odd that and again, unless he just posted that picture purely for the logo,
right.
There's got to be.
Yeah, that's right. Because he has that logo.
He's got that exact logo, but that seems kind of messed up. It seems like a fake out posting that, and it's only for the logo's sake.
What? I really do think we're like the creation of the Justice League will go through the bumps and trials and tribulations, and I think that this will play into that, like the gulag. I don't know We're going to see Superman questioning with morality and ethics about being a hero, policing the whole planet. Like that comes with the question of, do I imprison these people or not? So maybe he does, maybe it's a flawed Superman. You could see that with his relationship with Lois, and he seemed a little more vulnerable in this movie. He can make mistakes with all that power, and you could do this Kingdom Come thing before you, straighten out the kinks for what becomes the Justice League. So I do think it'll happen in one way or another.
I mean, there's no way they kill off Lois Lane anytime soon, right?
No, yeah. So it'll just be like the gulag, figuring out how to get these people under control, just that vibe of it.
I could see Wonder Woman's introduction in the DCU being something closer to this, less Gal Gadot's character in the DCEU, but like maybe Wonder Woman's first interactions with Superman in their first project is her kind of being like, you should be more authoritative. You should be more, you have the power to stop all of this stuff in the world, to stop all this evil. You should take it. And so maybe she starts off as like a bad influence, almost kind of pushing Superman towards being a little bit too aggressive. And that's something that kind of parallels from this story.
Yeah, I could see James Gunn using each member of the Justice League as a voice. You got your left, you got your right, you got your authoritarian, you got your Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, you got Green Arrow, all these different voices. Because that's what's kind of beautiful about the Avengers and Justice League is they disagree about so much, but they figure it out and collaborate anyway. So, yeah, obviously in this day and age, there's going to be so many political ramifications with that. But I can totally see, this happening, something just similar to this happening along the way onto the creation of the Justice League. And after seeing how committed they were to just making a movie and not building the universe, I swear it's going to be like 12 years before we get a Justice League movie. It feels like it's going to be a long time.
It could be. At least 5 or 6. It's like, could be a while. I mean, it took us 4 years. Took us 4 years to get the Avengers and the MCU. So, I wouldn't be surprised if it was over 5 years from now before we get a Justice League. Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else on the comic that we didn't touch on?
I think I got it all. I just reiterate, I love this art style. One of the best cases of the art style matching the feel of the story. So I really, really enjoyed it. Who is the artist on this?
It's Alex Ross. He's like
Alex Ross. Okay.
Probably the most legendary. He's in there just because it's so unique. He doesn't have a ton of comics, but when he's on a comic, it's big. He did Justice, which is a younger Justice League. He did full 12 issues of just your Lex Luthor, Brainiac, Legion of Doom versus Justice League, which I thought was good. Not as good, but still really good. He did The Marvels, which is like going through the whole history of the Marvel Universe, like Loki causing the Avengers to start, like Spider-Man fighting Norman, all this stuff from the perspective of a reporter that had watched all these events. Yeah, just very few, but legendary. All right, well, that wraps it up. Thanks for listening to our review of Kingdom Come. We got Fantastic Four coming up next, so we're going to cover some comics. By the way, did you see the new clip Fantastic Four released where Galactus says he is here for Reed Richards' son?
No.
Like, that's straight up what he did. Like, we're getting plot points and stuff, so yeah, we might end up skipping to the Herald of Galactus arc with Franklin Richards and Galactus. Yeah. Even though he's a baby, Galactus wants him. So that's crazy.
They're just going to start right off with Franklin Richards, huh? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right.
Oh, and he said, he was like, because it's the scene in the trailers when the people are like, are we going to be okay? And he's like, I don't know. He says Galactus is going to destroy our planet if I don't give him my son. I'm pretty sure that's what was going on there. So that's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. Woo.
Yeah. Talk about a mental dilemma there.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but we will review some comics. We'll do a speculation episode, all that. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.